The next three tutorial applications are all going to go together to make a single website and set of web applications that work together for a fictional music instruction business. This next application is a search application that lets potential clients look for a music instructor that fits their requirements for days and time slots, as well as the instruments they teach and the styles they teach. So we can select potential time slots on any day, any time that's supported by the business. We can look for particular instruments and particular styles. Click submit, and we see all the teachers who have time slots that satisfy those requirements, as well as those teachers that teach the instruments and the styles that are requested. You can see their schedule, but those teachers only appear if all of the requirements match. So we can go back to the search page. We also have a page which is basically just an auto-generated view of the database. So that can also be used to sort of filter and sort and group if it's easier to just look at this variety of information and sort through it manually. Then there is also a card page which does the same sort of thing, just presents all the information in a different view that maybe is useful depending on how you want to be able to look at it all. And those are just auto-generated no-code layouts on those last two pages. The search page and the results page are created manually with the application builder. So we're going to look at rebuilding that now. We will create a new workspace for this. We'll call this schedules. We can do this here. Schedules. And actually, let's even call this schedules tutorial, so in my workspace I don't confuse it with the original. So nice to be able to work with these workspaces and just rename things and move things around as I need. Of course, the first thing we're going to need to do is create a database. So we'll call this schedules. And let's take a look. We're just going to replicate what we have in this existing application. So we have 4 tables: teachers, time slots, instruments, and styles. So let's create those. Teachers and time slots and instruments and styles. Now I'll get a look at what we need here in each of those tables. So teachers has a lot of links to these other tables, so let's go ahead and work backwards. Styles basically just has a bunch of names of styles, so let's do that here. Work on our styles database, our styles table, paste that in. We are not going to need this field, and we are not going to need this field. Let's go ahead and add a link then to the teachers table. We will use this in the teachers table, and actually we'll go ahead and do that. I think we're going to link back from the teachers table instead. Let's look at the instrument table. There we go. Boom. So name and teachers, we'll do the same thing here. We don't need a notes field. It doesn't hurt to leave an active field, but we'll get rid of it for now. That's going to be, again, we'll link to it directly from the teachers table. Go ahead and paste in our values here for that. And let's see, time slots. So I did the time slots just so you have a little more of an understanding here. We did a little tricky thing here. So I want to put in a huge number of days and times. So what I did was I started with just Monday and pasted that a bunch of times. So if you look here, I came up with a basic list, given every day that music students are going to want to generally come after school and into the evening. I had time slots from 3 p.m. until 8:30. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Let's see how we name that. Called it time slot. So we have a formula, a day, a time slot, and teachers. A formula. Let's see here. Let's just delete everything. Make this go a little more quickly. So what we're going to do here is make this a formula field. There we go. We haven't covered formulas yet, but they're pretty simple. So I'm just going to make this formula. Don't currently have a formula, so just put a little placeholder for the time being. Get an actual thing we can do here. Just find something I can just kind of put in as a basic formula. Convert from number 1 to text just for the moment. Okay, so now we need, I think we called it days. Yeah, day, time slot, and teachers. So single line text. And we'll make that the day. And I think what I did here for the times, I actually just used a number with a couple decimal places, or even 2 decimal places, I think should work. And paste some of those times in. So what I did was that for every day that I wanted to have this available, I pasted those times in over and over and over just to get a little insight how to save this. So I've got now a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, a Friday, and a Saturday, all at the same times. And I just sort of copied and pasted the same day over and over and over again. I'll go back up to the top here. Just kind of tabbed out and went to the next field until you can do that. Press enter and you can go down. So, oops. And for the sake of going a little more quickly, you can see this was a lot easier and a lot more versatile to do than just sort of manually putting in a day and a time text. And let's see here. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy the rest of this so you can get moving on with the system, but hopefully a couple little shortcuts to how you can populate fields and work with fields. Boom. Let's see if we've got everything matching up. Looks good. Saturday from 3. Okay, so we just very quickly added 72 days and time slots for each day. Now the problem is in the application, I want to be able to see a day and time combination. So what I did here was I created a little formula. Let's take a look at the formula. So that we have an already computed day and time combination. So edit this field and use the concat function to put together any arguments, any values. So let's get out of that. Bring it back to what it was. We'll get this field, and all it's doing is taking the value in the day column, concatenating a space, putting together, joining together that with the value in the time slot field. So let's go ahead and add that formula here. You see we're going to have all of these not sure if I actually was able to paste that. There we go. Good. And now you see that is populated. Oh, something's wrong here. Concat field day. time slot. So let's go ahead and change that. Field time slot. Good. Okay, let's try our formula again. The fields are properly named. Good, that's looking good. And ta-da! Now we have a single field that shows the combination of all those values. A really quick way to sort of make a list of extended combinations of values. Not much of a deal here with 72 lines, but if we were dealing with a similar kind of situation where we had a bunch of repeating values, maybe thousands of them, for example, we wouldn't want to have to enter thousands of values into these tables. You can do this sort of technique to more effectively enter those sorts of repeating values into your database. You could, of course, use AI to generate that sort of data into a CSV file, and also, just use some Python code or automate it in another way. But that gives you a little more insight how you can do things in Baserow. Okay, and then we have a teacher field. So here, this teacher table is largely links to other tables. So let's get the names copied over. So I'll have to enter those manually. Start looking at what else we have to improve. I did see we had a notes column. It certainly doesn't hurt to have an active column to show whether the teacher is active or not. In fact, I think I did use that here. Let's see here. Yep, I did use this. So let's go ahead and copy the active values. In the demonstration, we are going to make use of that actually in the application. Let's enter the notes here. Let's go ahead and copy these notes from the existing application. Spend some time just kind of entering fake values in here. How about toured with Ozzy? They sort of spelled that wrong. And now the rest of this is going to be availability, which is going to tie into the, it's going to link to the time slots table. And you can see I've got everything checked here to create related fields in the linked table, so I didn't bother doing that. Those linked tables back to this teachers table will be created automatically by Baserow. So availability, instruments, and styles. Let's go ahead and add those links. Availability. To the time slots. Instruments, another link table, instruments, link to the instruments table, and then styles, oops, wrong field, there, styles, and we'll link to the styles table. Okay, great. And I saw we had one more field for an image to store the teacher's picture. Let's go ahead and copy all of that. Grab everything here, all these columns. Could have just done that all in one blow here, but let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, so I think we have our database fully populated with some nice fake data, all laid out with the schema that we need. Looks good. You can see those backlinks have been added automatically when we linked from the teachers table. Really importantly, if you're going to be working with tables that have many thousands or millions or more values, not creating that backlink is important for performance, but in a database like this, it's never really going to be dealing with any sort of huge amount of data, huge volume of data. It certainly can be useful to have a view like this and just be able to link right back, so you can see when you're looking at a time slot which teachers are available in that time slot, and then again which instruments have which teachers assigned, and which styles have certain teachers assigned. And all we did to create all that was to, in these links for each teacher row, we have values in place. Baserow automatically links all those values back. So it makes viewing data and slicing and dicing the data in the database always a little simpler, but it's not always required. In this case, we just need to be able to look up a teacher and see what their availability, their instruments, and their styles are. Okay, so let's go back now and look at what we did to create this application. And we could also certainly do quite a bit with just the database. And in fact, even before we build this app, since we're mentioning it, I am going to create a view of this data. Let's see here. I did create a view of the existing data without any filters or sorts. Let's go back here. We'll create a view. We're going to share that view. Get that private link. And now you can see we can access that table. It won't be writable, but it's totally accessible and sortable. And we're later going to just pop this into a page using what we call an iframe. We do the same thing with the grid. I'm going to create a grid view of this. Not a grid, a gallery view of this. Do the same thing. Make this available. Add a private link. Take a look at that. Now this, you could pass this link to any person with an email, or in an email, just send a link or text it. And we can also just make it appear in an iframe in the application. So that is already done. We've got a good piece of the application already built just by doing that. Now we are going to take a look at the applications. So application pages. So schedules is what we'll call this. And let's get rid of our little default pages. We'll look here what we've got in our application pages. Schedule, show matches, sort, and cards. Schedule, show matches, sort, and cards. So let's do that. We'll just delete this. A new one called schedule. Show matches will be the next one. And then sort and cards. Okay, so on this sort and card pages, all we're going to do is take the links we just created, and we can insert any page that exists anywhere that allows itself to be included in an iframe into an iframe element. So I'm going to go down here, this cards page. I'm going to insert an iframe on the page. I'm going to set its height to be 600, and what's going to be displayed in there is this page, blammo. And if I go back to our database, now we have a page that looks like we built it, but we did not. We just used Baserow's ability to share a view of the database. We pop that in. We can customize that however we want. We can customize the data that's on the cards. In fact, we will do that. And as you can imagine here, we're going to do the same thing with this page. We're going to look at our teachers grid, and we will copy that shared view that we already created. And of course, we could limit access to this with the password. And if you pay a little bit per month, you can choose to, one of the features you can pay for is to hide that Baserow logo, and you can also allow this view to be exported as a CSV file. one of the little features built in. We can get around that and do it in other ways with the application builder, but it's nice to not have to do that at all. We're going to stick just with the pure open source version here, though, for everything we build. So I have this page now that I've created called sort. We have an iframe, and I'm just going to embed this little iframe that we've created, this little link we've created, and that's just going to appear within our application. So I've got 2 pages built already. Next, what we're going to do is we need a page that's going to show our matches. So let's take a look at how we built that page here already. Show matches. Take a look at what we've got. So you can see here, like you saw in the last application, there is a header on each of these pages. And again, I'm clicking on an image here, but I can look at the element that contains that, and what that is a multi-page header. So this is going to appear on everything. And we've got a menu and an image. So let's go ahead and build that out. We will add a multi-page header. I think the only thing that might be new here in the tutorials is the menu. So we use a menu to be able to link between multiple pages in an application. Before I build that out, I'm going to add another element to this header. We'll just have an image here. And then let's see, we're going to need to upload a file. Hopefully I've got one of these on my let's see here, on my system. Otherwise I can download it from the application, since we're rebuilding things the way this existing application worked. Let's see here. If I've got it already. Okay, so looks like I do not. So very quickly, what I'm going to do here is just sort of download this image. I have managed to delete it, so I will go over here and I'm just going to download the image here. Save the image. We'll call that search header. Okay, and now we're going to go back into these applications and upload that image. There we go, search header. Perfect. And do the same thing in our reconstruction of this app. Search header, upload it. Okay, so we have a header that's going to appear on every page. Nothing on this page yet, but we want to build a menu. And so what that menu is going to do is let us click between all of the different pages that we've got. And so we've got a search page, a sort page, and a card page. So you can see we can add some menu items to this menu. And we're going to add a link, and that gives us a link here. We're going to call this one search. You can see that link appears up here. It's going to be a link, and we're going to have that navigate to the schedule page. We'll add another link and give it a name down here. That one is going to be called sort. And that will go to the sort page. So we'll open the sort page. And then again, we could add sublinks here. We'll do that in another application, but we want to have a menu pop down here instead of just individual items. We could create a menu by creating sublinks, and that could have as many links as we wanted, sort of dropping down vertically. But for this simple menu, we'll just add 3 links across the top. So we've got a new one. By default, it's called page. We're going to change that now, and this one is going to be, let's say, cards. And we will link that so that when the user clicks on that link, it will open up the card page. It'll navigate to the card page. Let's go ahead and give this a little shot. Just sort of look at it. The preview will open up, and you can see some things we need to do right away. I'd like to have these centered, but if I click on the search page, blam, there's nothing on that page, but here is the sort page, and here is the cards page. And we do already have those pages populated with some views of the database that we've shared and populated directly in iframe. So we can build these sorts of pages very quickly and make those views available to the public. Really, really, really powerful technique in Baserow to be able to build applications and directly insert any views of the database that you create. Okay, so I do want to center each of these things. Let's just go to the theme overrides and center that, and we'll do the same thing with the menu. Great, so those are both sorted on the top of the page, and now we want to start building our show matches page. So when a user clicks on a search and enters all their values, they're going to open up to this page, and so we're clearly going to need a data source, and we're going to need some elements to display what's returned. So let's take a look here. Our show matches page basically just has one big table, and it's going to display values from a data source, and we're going to see all of the fields. Looks like we just add all of these fields. So let's take a look at our data source and the way this was set up. This is pulling information from the schedules database, the tables teacher, and the grid view. And you can see we've got several features here. So we can add these filters and collect only the information we want to be displayed in the grid from that database and table. So this filter is going to look for where the availability has been set to a slots parameter, and instruments has been equals to a parameter that gets passed to this page called instruments, and the styles only include parameters that are equal to the styles parameter, or a value that is equal to the styles parameter set passed to this page. So we're going to have to pass 3 parameters to this page. Let's go ahead and set up this this whole thing. Start a data source here, and we're going to get multiple rows. Let's call that list multiple rows. We're going to use our schedules database. We're going to get values from the teachers table. We'll say from the grid, and we're going to add some filters where the name is and this should say has. So we're going to need to check and make sure. I see why we can't do that yet. It is because we don't have the values passed to the page. I believe that's why. So also we want availability. There we go. Has. That's because that availability is a linked list. We're not looking for the name, we're looking for their availability, their style, and their instruments. Great, so now we've got a filter. This is not quite done yet, but we'll come back and finish that. And for the page, we're going to add a grid to display that filtered data. So what are we doing here? We're going to add a table, if we can find it here. Table. And we're going to make a data source. You can see it automatically populates that with all the fields by default. For some reason, I don't see this. Oh, I see. I'm not sure if we are actually seeing a properly populated. I see what's going on. It's not showing the whole table. Okay, so it looks like that grid is correctly populated. What we need to do now is build the selectors on our schedule page where the user can select those values that we want to filter out into this grid. So let's go over to the schedule page and look at what we did here. On the schedule page, we have just the header and a search form. So we have a little bit of text here. Find a teacher who fits your schedule, style, and stylistic interests. And then let's copy that. And then choose days and time slots, instruments, and styles. Okay, so we're going to add a form on this page that lets the user select between those things. Form, and right above that we want a little bit of text that says this. Copy that. And I get the feeling we are going to want to change the width here to small and do the same thing for this one. Style it with a small width. Should be nicer. And so in the form, we've done this a number of times. We're going to add some data input fields. Choose, forget exactly what we said there, but choose days and time slots. And then we need to add another field, another text entry field. Let's try this again. I'll put it down below. We're going to add a data entry field, data input field, and that is going to say styles. And then we're going to add one more data input field for instruments. Okay, so now we've got a form, and clearly what we're going to need to do is pass, when that's clicked, we're going to need to pass the selected values to another page. So we're going to open another page, we're going to pass it to this show matches page, and I can see what we need to do. The show matches isn't showing any parameters yet, so let's go ahead and actually look at what parameters are needed in this page, and that's going to be in the page settings. There we go. So we're going to have, we'll see how we named it. We're going to have time slots or days, however we call those slots, and then styles, and there we go. So we're sending slots, instruments, and styles all as text values. So when we open up this show matches page, we want to base that filter on these three values. These are the values that are going to be passed to this page. So remember to put a forward slash and a colon. We want to receive some slots values. We want to receive some styles values, and we want to receive some instruments values that the user has entered. Those are all going to be text values. Good, so I think we're now getting to the point where we can actually filter here. So we're going to pass this submit button. The event, you can see, has a little error there because we have not filled it out. Now let's just do this again just to make sure it's clear what happens here. We want to, when the submit is clicked, we want to open a page, and we want it to be this show matches page. So you can see now that I've added some parameters, they're showing up in the menu selection there, and because that page expects three values, slot, styles, and instruments, now we need to choose where we're going to send those values. This could be static values typed in, but here what we want to do is send the days and times that have been entered by the user. For the styles, we want to choose the styles that have been selected by the user. And we want to choose also the instruments that have been selected by the user. So that's great. Now we have a working form that will pass data to the show matches page, and the show matches page will take those values as parameters that have been passed, and will filter that data into grid. The only issue is there's nothing displayed in these texts. So I think actually you may need to go back and adjust. I've done this a little while back. So, yes, we don't want a text entry field as we used in the previous tutorials. What we want is a text, a record selector. So you can see what we can do here is select values from a data source. So let's look at our data sources here. On this page, we're going to make some data sources available from the database, which is what you're going to call day and time slots, instruments, and styles. We're going to look those values up from their respective tables in the database. So let's go ahead and do that in our application. We're going to add some data sources to this page. The first will be get multiple rows from the schedule. From the schedules database. And the first one is we want time slots. So let's call that time slots. And we're not filtering or sorting at all. And we're going to add another data source to this page. We want to get multiple rows of styles, or multiple rows of styles from the styles table. Doesn't matter, we don't have a sorted view, so sorted or filtered view, so we don't need to choose a particular view. Again, finally, we're going to get, let's say, instruments. So on this page, then we'll have these lists of all of the time slots that are available, all of the instruments that are available, and all of the styles that are available from those tables. Now, I think we're in business. The only issue is I currently have text entry fields. So since we want to actually be able to select those from the database, I'm going to delete this, and what we're going to do is instead of a text entry field, a data input field, we're going to use a record selector field. And what that'll do is populate this data source into that dropdown. And we want this to be multiple, and we want those to be required. So instead of just being able to select one date and time, we can select any date and time. That looks good. Let's go ahead and make something like, we had 72 records, let's make like 100 records available. It's a very small amount. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to replace this styles text entry field with a drop down. Get rid of this. And let's see here, right above this, we will add not a data input, but a record selector. And those styles. Label. Let's see here, come on. Make a selector. So we want to say styles. And we also want multiple, allow multiple values, and we should make that another required choice. And finally, we'll do the same thing here. Copy this label that we created. Actually, I don't think we even really need that. Let's see here, delete this and add a record selector. We're going to select that this styles. And we will call this day and time slots. Days and time slots. Okay. I do think we've got now a working form. Just make sure now when we submit this, since we've changed those fields, yeah, you can see we've got the missing form is no longer there, but instead what we're going to do is we're going to set that slots value to the time slots. And we want to get the formula value that we created that has both the day and the time. And let's see here, what's this next one? Styles. So we're going to go here and we're going to look at the form data. We're going to grab the styles, all the selected styles. Good. Try this again. Something is amiss at the moment. I'm not able to drill down it there. We'll take a look at that. And instruments. We're looking at form data. I do see what I've done here. I do want to actually use the form data. Use the form data for this. There we go. Something is definitely amiss here. I'm going to check and see what we've got. Styles and days and time slots. Looks good. I'm not sure what's going wrong with our data source here, so let's give this a shot. Look through everything, make sure everything looks good. For our days and time slots, we are pulling out the values from the proper table. For the styles, we are pulling out values from the proper table. And for instruments, we are pulling out, let's make sure we have from the schedules table. That all looks good, and so something is amiss with this form. Go, make sure it's required. We're allowing multiple users. This all looks correct. Let's check all of these. We do want some multiple values here. That's what we got going wrong there. And days and times, let's also make sure allow multiple values is correct. Okay, so let's check our submission again, making sure that when the button is clicked, we're sending the right data. Let's go through our form data. And we're looking for styles here. Good. Everything looks like it's correct. Let's give this a shot. I'm going to open up this first page, make a choice. Let's just choose a couple days here. Everything's appearing correctly. You can choose proper values. Submit it, and ta-da! We've got results shown properly. Let's go back and do this one more time. Just test to make sure. Let's check some other days. I don't know what days particular teachers are available offhand, but let's try a Wednesday in the afternoon and maybe a Tuesday a few times. And we'll check the styles. Let's say classical and traditional and bluegrass. And we should get some different people now. We just want to maybe have vocals. And I think we are getting different people. In fact, let's make that rock and metal. Aha, I do want to adjust and make a view of this because I have a person here, a teacher here, who is not currently taking students. We could eliminate that by creating a filter. Let's go back and do one more a little bit simpler and just say, anybody available on Monday who does jazz, maybe just keyboard. read that. Person does jazz. We do have something wrong here because it's showing rock and metal. So let's make sure that our filters are correct. You can see we've got a menu now up on top, and it's showing that automatically generated grid, and we have a card page that's showing automatically generated cards. So we're almost done here. We'll go back to our search, make sure that our filters are correct. So it looks like we're navigating to the show pages. Let's see, we're sending slots, styles, and instruments. That looks good. We're getting that information from the form data that's been selected, days and time slots, the styles, and the instruments. That all looks good. And then we're opening up this page, and the data source on this page is listing multiple rows. Aha! When we built this, we did not have those values yet, so that's why we're not actually getting a search. So where availability has the slots parameter, and I'm going to go over here and click on this because I don't want to choose a static row. I actually want to add instruments there. And same thing here, I want to use the styles parameter that's been passed. So we're filtering the data from this data source, data from the teachers table, where the availability is in the past slots value. The instruments is in the past instruments value, and the styles matches the past styles parameter. So that should be the last of it. Let's preview this one more time. Close the old page here, and we'll go back to our search. Boom. And one more time, let's choose Monday, classical, and vocals. Classical, classical, good. So now we have two that both teach classical and they both teach vocals. Let's try another. Let's go for a Wednesday. We want to learn jazz, and we want to do some keyboards. Oh, nothing's been found, so this is looking correct. Let's try maybe a Monday, jazz, and we'll try a couple other instruments. So we get anybody who does jazz on those instruments, and there we go. So they have that Monday time available. They do guitar, which is one that we selected, and they do jazz. So it looks like our search is working correctly. I think we can say that this application is done. You've seen a number of new techniques, including the menu on the top, and some more complicated parameter passing techniques, and some more complicated data source filtering techniques so that they match given parameters, and where we have some filters that match values that the user has typed in. You've also seen how we can create these views of a database and insert them directly in an iframe. That iframe technique is going to become especially important in the future whenever we want to do any sort of custom development using data in the database. Baserow makes that sort of work extremely simple. We can create an application that sort of stands on its own, queries the database on its own, and it's much simpler to do that with the Baserow API system than it is to do with a traditional web development framework where you have to have a database built in and these things called object relational managers to interact with the database and all sorts of wiring under the hood. It's very simple to create a separate little standalone application that takes some data from the database and displays some results on the page. And that can go as simple or as complex as needed. And then we just take that standalone application and pop it into an iframe in our app. And that's how we extend the application builder. That's going to be a really, really important technique. You get a little taste of it here by just creating a view of the database and popping it into an iframe. But we will extend that quite a bit in the future. So I think we're good here. Let's go ahead and publish this. I'll pick this up in the next tutorial, and we'll see how that works. Thanks for watching. Next, we're going to build some more components for this little fictional business, music instruction business, and we'll build a website entirely around these tools that we're making for that business.